Good morning, my family and friends. My name is Daniel Gonzalez, a once upon a time felon, unashamed for Christ, forever saved. So I got a friend of mine that wrote a book a very long time ago. And the title of the book is Changing Your Game Plan, right? So look, this book, right, Changing Your Game Plan by Randy Keys, it talks about, taking step to transformation, to change your game plan, to transform yourself from one thing to another. So if you used to be this, you transition and you change your game plan to something else. So it's all about taking stock and inventory, revisiting the past, and evaluating where you're at, and making a decision as to if you're going to continue with your game plan or you're going to change your game plan. Because when I was in that situation and I had to definitely change my game plan, because the game plan that I had, it led me down the path of destruction where it was just pain and suffering and heartache and zero progress, and always taking step backwards up until you bury yourself. So look, I had nothing but to change my game plan. So now look, when I decided to change my game plan, it's not to say that I started living this lavish lifestyle and that everything was, peaches and cream. Nah, man, it's hard still, but it's rewarding. And look, when I started to change my game plan, look, I started to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to go to work in 2005. And we in 2023, and I'm still doing it. So it's not to say that I've been, living this lavish lifestyle and everything is peaches and cream. No, look, but there's organizations, there's unions, there's schools, anything. There's resources out here. There's resources out here that you could tap into, especially being in this country. There's resources anywhere you at, as a matter of fact. You could put me anywhere on God's green earth, I'm gonna figure it out. Because that's just something that's just a gift that's built in me, that God put in me, that He put in all of us. But look, if you just sitting around, waiting around with your hand out, that's an issue, man. You're gonna pay the price for that. You gotta change your game plan. You gotta change your game plan, fam. You cannot be waiting around, sitting around, and unwilling to do the work. The work that I do is very uncomfortable, very strenuous. This is why God gave me the wisdom to do exercise, to work out, to take care of myself, so they could be easier for me. And look, when I was thinking about this yesterday, how things sometimes skip a generation. My sons and my daughters, especially my sons, man. My sons, I see him living the life that I wish I could have been living when I was 10 years old. The way I see him living and the things he has and how he gets it, and you know why that's happening to him? Because who I chose to marry. That's a whole different ballgame right there. That's a whole different ballgame. But look, from my generation to my son, he's living the life that I dreamed of living when I was 10 years old. He has it right now, and he doesn't even realize it. But that was because I decided to change my game plan. If I didn't change my game plan, I would have put him in the predicament. My sons and my daughters, they would have been in a different predicament, And now they could look at me, right, and figure out and learn how my grandchildren is gonna potentially, nobody knows because nobody know what tomorrow brings. But how my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren potentially, how they could be living the dream that my son wish he had. Because I'm sure he wants things that he can't have right now, but maybe his children's gonna have it. And that's the idea. The idea is to make it better for the generation that's coming next. You see what I'm saying? And DC9 afforded me the opportunity to do just that. DC9 afforded me the opportunity to make things better for me and mine. But that's because I decided and I chose to be consistent and to figure how to navigate myself through this organization, through this union, you know, as a painter. You can't look. It didn't look too how would you say, you know, attractive. It didn't look too attractive when I first started doing it. Just because you gotta get up way too early and you gotta put it in. You gotta get dirty. You gotta get dirty, man. But as time goes on and you start figuring it out and you start learning and you start networking and you start meeting people and you start making a name for yourself, because you're gonna make a name for yourself regardless, either good or bad. You're gonna make a name for yourself. You're not gonna get around that. You know, I made a name for myself back in the days where parents used to snatch their kids away from me. I don't want you next to him. That's the type of name for myself because of what I did. Now I'm making a different name for myself, where parents now say, wow, why my son can't be like that? That's what I get now. I wish my son could think the way you think or do what you do. You know, because they in their 50s now and they stuck, still living with their parents. You see what I'm saying? So it's all about changing your game plan and figuring it out what that looks like. And sometimes you're not gonna know, but you gotta get up and go, and you gotta apply, and you gotta sign the application, and you gotta enroll in that program, and you gotta go to that school, and you gotta go to that church, and you gotta meet different people that's gonna push you in that direction. You see what I'm saying? That's gonna push you in that direction, because, you know, if your game plan ain't working, come on, man, you gotta see what type of game plan you working with, fam. You got to. You can't, you know, look at the world we living in right now. Look at the world we living in right now. Look at what's happening around you. You see what I'm saying? And nothing's gonna happen overnight. Everything takes time. You know, there's people right now sitting in prison. They don't have that opportunity now. Now they gotta sit there for 50, 60 years. You see what I'm saying? For not knowing what to do out here. There's people losing their life, literally passing away. Literally, bro. Getting their life sucked right out of them, bro. Because they unwilling to change their game plan. They stuck, they paralyzed mentally, not physically, because they get up and go physically, but mentally, they don't have the capacity to say, let me check into this program to get myself together, to get myself better, so this doesn't have a hold on me. Let me get into this program. Let me relocate to a different state. Sometimes you just gotta move out of your environment, bro. You know, your level of exposure will determine your level of success. You gotta move out of your environment, man. Now that I'm not in the environment I came up in, when I go back, I'm looking at it now from a different view now. When I go back, and I mean, like, wow, man, it's just like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, man. How you gonna get up out of this? Because what happens in that environment is that you find a sense of security because you can sustain it. But then you sacrifice the best. You sacrifice the great for your children. And they get to inherit. Come on, I know people that relocated out of state and they got houses with 3 bathrooms in it, 5 bedrooms, driveways, front lawn, backyard. You know, and because you know, you unwilling to to switch and to leave because you're afraid of the unknown. You're afraid to go into a new neighborhood. You're afraid to go home. You can't do that, man. You gotta go. The best thing I did was go and get on Interstate 80 and drive 3 hours. That opened up the world for me right there. But look, it was handcuffed in back of a bus. 40 of us. Life as a shorty shouldn't be so rough. It was handcuffed in back of a bus that took me out there. I was handcuffed in back of a bus. And they took me out there 3 hours away and they sat me there and left me there. So what I did when they let me go, I said, I'm not going to go up there handcuffed in back of a bus. I'm going to drive my car up there now and see what's good. Now y'all going to have to see me on this side of the wall. Y'all had me on the other side of the wall. And y'all trained me and y'all taught me. But now, since I changed my game plan, now you're going to have to see me on this side of the wall. And now look, now they do see me. Now they know my name, Daniel Gonzalez. I don't have to hide. I don't have to have tinted windows. I don't have to change my phone every 2 days, every 2 weeks. I don't have to change my phone. You know exactly who I am. I can give them my socials. I give them my government. I give them my addresses. This is who I am. This is what it is, Mr. Daniel Gonzalez. They know exactly who I am. They've been seeing me for too long already. Be consistent, building the community. You know, which is what I'm trying to do right now. Build up my community. Build you up because I could take your temperature. I know how you think and I know how you feel. When it comes to me, at least, I know because I take your temperature. You don't even know it. But look, that don't got nothing. That's change your game plan. Change your game plan. I do it different ways. I do humble, and I come direct, and I just try to tell you change your game plan. If you're not where you need to be, don't expect nothing to be handed to you. Revisit the past. See what worked, what didn't work, and change your game plan by Randy Kears. There's a chapter in there that says stay sucker free. There's a chapter in there that says how to stay sucker free. Because that's what's gonna bring you down. Your circle of influence. And if you gotta watch the people you put yourself around, because if you're the smartest person in your circle, you gotta get a new circle. You gotta expose yourself. I exposed myself yesterday on a Zoom call to people that was in Jamaica and that was in Canada. At least those two. It was an international Zoom. And I was invited to this, right? And it was a Bible study, very deep. They go down verse by verse. They were talking about John chapter 3. And you would say, but look what you get out of that and their interaction and the prayer they did. The prayer, bro, when I was there sitting and the pastor was praying over us that were there on that Zoom call and the rest of the world, when he prayed, you feel the Holy Spirit right there. This is what I'm talking about. Your level of exposure will determine your level of success. A once upon a time felon, unashamed for Christ, forever saved.